Welcome to the Los Angeles Sentinel Daily Brief. This is where we talk black and talk back to the headlines that are impacting the black experience. I'm NIELE Anderson, and here's what you need to know for today. As we vastly approach Election Day on November 8th, and don't forget, early voting is underway right now. There are many issues on the ballot besides electing candidates. Here in Los Angeles, Ballot Measure A deals with police reform and accountability, which is a huge topic within the black community. Now, just this week, according to a new report on racial profiling across the state, black drivers in California are nearly 5 times more likely than white motorists to get pulled over by sheriffs for traffic violations. Now, the data also found sheriff patrols spend significantly more time conducting these proactive stops than they do responding to calls for help. Now, here to break down Measure A and how it plans to hold the LA County sheriffs accountable is Reverend Eddie Anderson.
Glad to be here with you, Nia.
Now, we both have the same last name. Now, we're not related, but we are related in the body of faith,
Absolutely. Right? You know, there's so many Andersons. You may be cousins somewhere down the road.
Somewhere, right?
Yeah.
But no, let's get to the matter of hand. We just talked about police pulling over black people 5 times more than white people, which kind of deals with what Measure A is all about, accountability. So talk to us about when the voters who haven't already voted, hopefully you have, but if you haven't voted already, why should people vote yes for Measure A?
So Measure A, we picked the letter A for accountability. What that means is that we have a sheriff department that has a $3 billion budget.
Okay.
They patrol anywhere in unincorporated Los Angeles. So think Compton, think maybe some parts of Inglewood, think West Hollywood even, right? And what we see is happening is that the sheriff department has had an increase of shootings. We've seen them, they manage the jails, and we've seen a misuse and an abuse of our citizen brothers who are locked up, who are incarcerated. We've seen deputy gangs go off the rails in Los Angeles. So imagine gang initiation, but in the sheriff department, and the victim are citizens. And so what this will do is it will allow the board of supervisors, which approve the budget,
right,
which have oversight over the sheriff. It will allow the Civilian Oversight Commission, which the city of Los Angeles voted for, to actually have some teeth, right? So when the sheriff gets subpoenaed by the Civilian Oversight Commission, he says, nah, I'm good. There's a check for that. When the board of supervisors say you're spending too much money on locking people up and you're not giving mental health services, that we're seeing abuse inside of the cells, there's a check on that. When we see people die at the hands of the sheriff and then see the sheriff terrorizing those families like they did to Ryan Twyman's family, there's a check for that as well. Right now, we have a sheriff who really believes that we have a Wild Wild West mentality, right? Like, I'm the sheriff. I'm the new sheriff in town. I can do what I want, say what I want. I can interrogate journalists. I can terrorize citizens. I can not listen to subpoenas. I don't really need oversight. And there's no check, right? There's no check. Yeah, he's an elected official, but put it this way. If you can have your independence, but if your parents gave you $30,
right,
and then they ask you what you do with the $30, you're like, I'm not going to tell you. I'm going to have some answers. He says somewhere, right? That's what this does. It says we are in right of those answers, and that we deserve to have that. And if you don't listen, for any sheriff, this is beyond elephant away. This is for, think about when we had McDonald. Think about when we had the sheriff Baca, he's locked up now, right? Right. When we have sheriffs like that, and they are untenable for the public.
Right, and they set the standard and the tone for the next elected sheriff.
Absolutely.
To feel as if they are just as empowered or to even stretch that power.
Absolutely. It says to the sheriff that you are not only the judge, but you're the executioner as well.
Right, and so it also sets the tone of how the officers interact with us.
Absolutely.
Right. So I want to talk to you about Clergy for Black Lives. has your organization, which you are a part of, have they endorsed Measure A?
Absolutely. So members of Clergy for Black Lives, Pastor Q. John Marie and Pastor James Thomas are signatories. So when you read in the ballot book around who endorses this measure, you'll see their names there. We are all co-founders of Clergy for Black Lives. We've gone out and gathered signatures, and then we rallied the organizations we're affiliated with to also get signatures and to also endorse. So Pastor Thomas rallied the NAACP to become endorsers. Pastor Q rallied Clergy and Laity United for Economic Justice to become endorsers, and I rallied LA Voice to become endorsers as well.
I love it. Now, I'm looking at this process, and there's a national conversation about how we reimagine public safety. And I think back to Reform LA Jails, which is which turned into a signature, to gather the signatures, which turned into a measure. I actually ran the field team for that. And so when that measure passed, it applied subpoena power to the sheriff.
Absolutely.
But the sheriff didn't respond to the subpoena power.
So Measure R gave subpoena power to the Civilian Oversight Commission. When the Civilian Oversight Commission said, are we going to use this power? The sheriff was like, nah, I'm good. He was like, no. I'm just going to do what I do. Y'all can figure it out on your own. Wait, hold up. We have a civilian commission, which are citizens who are doing the best interest of the citizens.
And actually pay their salaries.
And you was like, no. Where that happen at?
Right.
Who tells their boss or their accountability partner, nah, I'm good today?
No, but this is why I think that going from Reform LA to Measure R, and now we're at Measure A, I think it's important for you to know that all of this is led by the people. Absolutely. I mean, the people, I'm talking about the Black churches, the Black and brown communities. This is what they're asking for, accountability, which is what the A stands for in Measure A.
Yeah, it's accountability. Dr. King had a great statement when they asked him, why are you doing all these marches? He says, I can't legislate your heart, but I can create boundaries so you can stop hurting me. That's what Measure A is. That's what Measure R was. That's what we stopping the contracts, canceling the contracts in LA County is. We can stop the oppression on Black people who are disproportionately locked up by the sheriffs, who are overseen and treated like slaves in prisons. We can stop the patrols that are 5 times more likely to happen to us, so driving while Black is a crime in Los Angeles. We can stop that from happening with measures like Measure A. It's another level, another check of accountability that says enough is enough. And we are sick and tired of being oppressed. We're sick and tired of being abused by the judicial system in our state.
And I think it also speaks to when we say reimagine public safety. It's not that we don't want police officers. And I say we because I am a firm believer that we need to reimagine our public safety when we think about how the whole police concept was started by slave catchers, right?
Absolutely.
So when we think about all of that, we do need to reimagine because it's systemic, right? And so as we reimagine, it's not that we don't want police officers, we just want them to be accountable.
Absolutely. We want them to be accountable, and I think...
And held accountable.
Held accountable, where if you don't want to actually listen to the accountability that we're giving you, that there's a check that you can lose your job for this. And I think when you think about reimagining public safety, LA, think about this. We have Measure R, we have a Civilian Oversight Commission for the sheriff. We have a new DA who says, I'm with the Blacks.
I'm with the Blacks.
I'm with the Blacks.
That's right.
And now we're getting an accountability measure that says, so sheriff, you can get with it, you can get pulled.
Right.
What's that song by City Girls? Act right or you get snatched up, sort of.
Act
up, you get snatched up. That's what we are saying. Measure A, right? You can act right or you can get snatched up.
Right. Okay, I love it. Act right or get snatched up. That's what Measure A is all about. All right, so it's on the ballot. If you haven't voted already, we encourage people to vote before November 8th, right?
Absolutely. Look, in Los Angeles and LA, you just gotta fill it out. It's mailed to your house already. Give it to your mail carrier or take it down to the local post office. You don't need a postal stamp, and they'll take it. If you are going to go in person, then go on election day, but do it early so that on election night, when you see the results posted,
The returns
that
are already
bar
there.
goes real high.
Yeah.
And Alex Villanueva or Sheriff Luna knows the people have spoken.
Right. So not only is Measure A on the ballot, but there is an election for the LA County Sheriff's Department where the current sheriff, Alex Villanueva, is running against Robert Luna, right?
Robert Luna.
Yeah. So you have two choices to make. Who you want, if you want to continue in the direction of what LA County Sheriff's Department is doing, or if you want to reimagine that position. And you have Measure A, which holds whoever the sheriff is accountable. And that's what we're talking about, reimagining
Absolutely.
how we see public safety for not just people of color, but for the United States. And then do your history about how police departments or policing was started. And I think you will want to reimagine how we look at it as well, right?
Absolutely. When we say break every chain in church, we mean the chains of slavery as well. And sheriffs still holding on.
And on that note, we hope you have been informed and inspired to rock your ballot. Thank you, Pastor Anderson, for visiting us today on the Daily Brief. Now, to learn more about what's at stake for this election cycle, pick up a copy of the Los Angeles Sentinel and look for our slate, which has all the ballot measures and candidates that are endorsed by the Los Angeles Sentinel. Now, for the latest in Black news, you want to visit lasentinel.net. I'm NIELE Anderson, and you have just been debriefed.
Today's Daily Brief is brought to you by Measure A. Vote yes on Measure A and hold the LA County Sheriff accountable.